and welcome to Enquire to Choir. My name is Eva and I'm here to help you, fellow choir people. I realized that surprisingly, now it's been a long time since I started working as a choir director. Going on 15 years as I've started working as a choir director full time. In the past few years, I started to realize certain things about the job that I couldn't have known at the very beginning. I started noticing certain things that I never thought about before. So I wanted to hop on here to give you some insight about that because I'm now looking at my career from a different perspective. While I don't think that I should have done anything differently because we learn on the job and that's a given, there are certain things that I wish somebody told me. I maybe wouldn't have listened, but just to have that somewhere in my head would be nice. So I want to give this to you. The do's and don'ts when it comes to being choir directors. Let's start. Do write everything down. Trust me. Trust me when I say this. You think you will remember, but you will not. I've been with one of my choirs for 12 years. When I was starting out the first 5-6 years, I remembered everything, everyone, every score, every person, every performance, every audience, every repertoire. 7 years later, and it's like, oh my God, I do not remember. I know my younger self is thinking, how can you not remember? That was so very important. You remember every performance. Every performance was very important, and it was, and I'm not negating that. But it comes to a point where there have been so many performances and so many people in the choir that your memory just starts to blend everything and to fuse everything in a memory. And the memories are not as separated and as data driven as they once were. So trust me, have a notebook, a spreadsheet or something, start recording the performance you had, where it was, what time, what kind of a repertoire, which scores, which songs, which collaborations, and most importantly, who was in the audience. You just have a better overview of everything. Also know that it's been long enough that it turns out that even as I'm reading my own writing, I cannot remember that I wrote it. So after a few years, after enough time has passed, you will not remember. We are just not designed to remember every single little thing about the performance. So do write everything down. Related to that, don't neglect your own music scores library. Everything today is digital, and I will admit I'm 37, so digital archives are something I greatly appreciate, but you know that we have physical scores in music. You have a performance and you take certain music scores, or you collaborate with someone, you have a friend or a colleague that gives you the scores, and you think, okay, eventually I will sort them out. Like you have a certain amount and then it grows and grows and grows and you keep looking at it and think, I will sort that out, I will write it down. But honestly, you probably never get to it, and with time it accumulates, and it's just after a while it's like I'm not touching that. And in my case, it comes down to me just going through the scores, trying to find a certain score. The problem with digital archives is you think you will be able to find everything on there. And in my case and in my experience, that's actually not true. For example, I'm Croatian, and for a lot of Croatian music scores, they're just not available. That said, if your choir has a management that takes care of the archive, great. But I'm speaking about your own personal music score library archive that you have at home, in your office, and you keep thinking, I will get to it. Well, find a week and then get to it, because you will be surprised by the amount of scores you can find. The common theme in this video is it accumulates over time. Do take singing lessons. How many times I hear that a choir director hasn't been to a singing lesson in 10 years? The problem is, you as a choir director are teaching other people how to sing. You may be thinking that you're not teaching them how to sing, you're teaching them how to sing in a choir. And there is something about not being able to reproduce the vocal technique that you are trying to teach them. And I know you're probably aware of the vocal technique and you know how to do it. But your voice is changing. We're getting older. It is the team. So if you're not working on your voice as well as working on your choir directing skills, you're missing out. So take singing lessons. Do that. Do not say things to your choir just to give an instruction. This is a more complicated one. When we are standing in front of our choirs and we are trying to make things happen, we speak a lot. We try to react to everything. We try to be proactive about everything. We have 1,000 things in our heads, but there comes a point where you don't know how to do something. You don't know how to instruct someone, and then you just try things out. And that's fair. You'd say something to them that you think is not that important. Even if you made a mistake, you don't think it's important to correct it. But the thing is, everything you say as a choir director, somebody will take in and take for granted, in the sense of they will not question it. They will just take it as truth. And then you have a person who just believes in something that is not true. So if you're claiming something you're not sure about, but you don't want to say that to your choir, if you don't know the solution and you're just trying some things out, just be careful how you go about it, because just because you feel the need to say something, it doesn't mean you should. And if you say something that's not actually true, or something that is a very bad instruction, and you don't correct it afterwards or the next time, the next rehearsal, it can be really bad and things accumulate. So if you're not sure and there is no need for you to try something out, just take a step back, think about it, and come to the next rehearsal with your facts checked. Do watch your posture. I am not kidding. Let's just come to this. When you're standing, I want you to become aware of the way you're standing. Because, for example, I always stand with my balance being on my right foot. I'm not equally balanced all of the time, especially during conducting. And you think that it doesn't matter, but trust me, it matters because it accumulates. And my right leg is very much different than my left leg. I feel it now when I'm 37. Okay, it's nothing bad, it's just I'm aware of this. I was not thinking about my posture when I was conducting, because it was just important to conduct correctly and to conduct stylistically and aesthetically pleasing, and that my choir understands what I'm trying to say with my conducting. But my posture suffered. Just because we're not sitting down at the desk throughout the day, it doesn't mean that we are not doing anything bad to our bodies. This will sound a bit sad, but hear me out. Don't expect the thrill of the job to happen all of the time. Listen, I'm someone who loves music. Music is my life, but being a choir director is still a job. And as any job, there are spaces of time where it's just not as thrilling. You know, you have a lot of tedious work or administration. The thrill is something that happens a lot in the job, but it doesn't mean that it happens every rehearsal. Meaning, just because you don't feel the organic inspiration all of the time, it doesn't mean that you're not willing to do the job. It just means that you're in a part of your career where you feel like, okay, now you've been through a lot of things, and you can feel that sometimes even being a choir director becomes a bit, work related. And you start to feel that it is still very much a job and not just music, okay? So don't expect the thrill all of the time. It doesn't mean that you've lost your inspiration or your mojo. It just means that you're human and a job is a job. Related to that, do check on your mental health. It's a great privilege to be a choir director. I love my choir singers. I love my choirs. I love the stage. I love the production. I'm really happy, really privileged, really blessed. But there is something about being a single person in front of a big group. So a lot of the mental load comes down to you. And it would be great if that mental load is just the choir work. The problem is it's often a very big mental load from your choir singers because we are connected. We are connecting during the rehearsals, and when we communicate, things happen. And when you're standing in front of a group, they project onto you their struggles, their needs, their emotions. And sometimes it's eating you up without you even realizing because you're doing a job, and then you come home and you feel like physically exhausted, but you never think about how much of the mental load you had to carry. I'm not saying that is a bad thing. I'm saying that it's a different thing than some other jobs. Be mindful of your mental health. I know that's a catchphrase these days, but it's a catchphrase for a good reason. We forget that things accumulate. Do take care of your mental health. That said, don't block criticism just because you think that will solve the problem. Listen, we are often put on pedestals, and it's very dangerous to start believing that we are actually worthy of that pedestal. I am often reminded by my own personal self that I'm just in that position. It doesn't mean that I'm better than anyone else, you know? So it's extra painful when you get criticism. And the criticism from music and choir critics are not as bad as the criticism that comes from your choir. It's one of the hardest things to get criticism from the very people you are teaching. But the only way to handle that criticism is by facing it and hearing it out. Because guess what? You can block it, but it will not stop it. People are talking. Choir singers have conversations and meetings, and they have a cup of coffee, and then things can evolve. So the only way to grow as a choir director is to face it. But yeah, it's not easy to face it. So I'm not saying that you're in the wrong here. The final do: collaborate with other choir directors and choirs. And now you're thinking, well, of course we collaborate, like that's the only way to move in the world. Yes. Sometimes when I collaborate with some choir directors, they think they're doing me a favor and they're not actually collaborating. Collaboration means that you're doing the most in order for the collaboration to be very successful. If you come to the collaboration thinking, okay, I'm just gonna do this just to make things work, but I'm not gonna give my best because there is the other choir director and I don't want to give her or him my input because then that person will know what I know and then that person will steal my knowledge. No, don't be jealous. Don't. Just do collaborate. Coming to the don't, the final don't. Don't bash your colleagues. Don't go against your colleagues. Especially if you do not know someone, if you keep hearing just things talked about a certain person, you do not have to believe it until you met that person. I cannot tell you how many times I heard a lot of bad things, and it turns out that it's not that true. It's like 10% of the time true. Most of my colleagues are very nice to everyone. Not because they're necessarily a very nice person, but they care about the choirs we're working with. They care about the music. They care about the scene, the music scene, the choir scene. They care about it. If you know something negative about the person, you don't have to be the one who gossips. Just be respectful, not just because you want to be a better person, but because you never know. It's a very small world. The choir directors, there are a few, and you never know who of that choir directors is going to collaborate with you, who is going to be in the jury, in a committee, and you will be in trouble. So do collaborate with other choir directors. Collaborate is the underlined word, and don't speak negatively of your colleagues just because you can. Be a better person. Think about the positive energy because it comes down to the power of music. Be the person who propels a positive energy. It accumulates as well. Have you experienced any of the things I said here? Let me know. But I hope you found the video helpful and I hope you're having a good summer. It's a very strange world out there. So I really hope that you're safe and I wish you the best. Conduct well, conductors, and I'll see you next time. Bye!